Hello, hello. It's me, MC of Healthy by George. Knee pain. Yes, that's what I'm here to share. I tell you, you know, I really am enthusiastic about what I'm doing for strengthening my legs and my knees are involved. But guess what? I'm too enthusiastic. And I think that's one of the troubles about, starting a new regimen is that sometimes you run into trouble and you can't avoid it, you know, but you have to do something because I don't want to have knee surgery. Knee replacement surgery does not look like something I want to even consider. So I wanted to jump on here tonight because I really realized that the things I were doing was helpful, but I need to be more mindful. So I want to talk about three things that can really be helpful, but we still need to be somewhat mindful about what we're doing. So I have a weighted vest. Let me show it to you. Here, let me get it. My weighted vest. Here it is. My weighted vest. And I really like it a lot. But truthfully, I shouldn't add any more weights than the weight that it has. So it has in here these little bags, which I think are phenomenal. So you can make this vest. I think it comes at 8 pounds, but I'll check and put it in the description. But what's so cool is you can open it up like this, and inside it, you'll see it has these little extra pound sandbags. And I took out all of them but one. So I thought, okay, 9 pounds. Let me do 9 pounds. Okay, wait. I tell you what, no, you shouldn't go to 9 pounds. Stay with the 8 pounds that this is, because believe me, I used it 2 days in a row. Shouldn't have done that either. and and frankly, I was pretty darn sore. Uh, just around the shoulders because I'm very mindful of my posture. So I was very sore around the shoulders and my neck, but I truly could feel the sense of being mindful about walking with some weights. And we need to think about this that when you are using a weighted vest, which is a very common process to help, is to make sure that you're only putting a vest of 5% of your body weight on and don't add any more weight like I did stupidly until you really kind of get used to it. So my knees were sore, my shoulders were sore, and so I gave myself a rest. So these are things that are fixable. I did a rest, and the saving grace is Arnicare cream. I don't know if you've ever heard about Arnicare cream, but I am putting together a wonderful ebook for all kinds of topicals and patches that you can consider for any kinds of chronic pain that you can treat. Not systemically like with a pill, but you can put a patch or a cream on it. Makes the world of difference. Oh my gosh. I put this cream on my shoulders and then my knees, and it was so much better. So go slow. So what I did is I used the weighted vest only 2 times this week, and I really like it a lot. So this week, I'm just going to repeat it again 2 times, and I remove the extra pound. So thank God. So that's one thing. I think the other thing is that I have some achiness in my knees because when I didn't do the weighted vest, I decided to put on my little 1 pound weights on my ankles and do some of the simple exercises I've done, like, the you do a side to side step, or you do a side to side leg lift of your leg to strengthen the hips, or you do a back step, a back lunge. Simple. I'm doing super simple. And then I do a seated knee lift. And because I really need to make sure that I'm keeping it slow. And even still, I had mild achiness on both knees. So again, what came to you? Arnicare cream, and a little Tylenol. I feel so much better. So, the truth is that when you have any kind of pain that shows up, If it's not symmetrical, like both knees, something's not right. And that if you're having worse pain on one side than the other, and it's sharp and it's different and doesn't seem to back off when you use a little Tylenol, you put some topical creams on, hey, it's time to maybe check in with your doctor. That's the key. So, pain needs to stay low under, that 0 to 10, which is the king of all scales of pain in the medical world, because that's what they go by. As long as your discomfort is around a 2 or a 3. But if it starts to get up there, 4s and 5s, then that's time to see a clinician, because basically knee pain is worth having, a clinician. And that's the thing that I know of. If I'm starting to have some kind of something show up, excuse me, I can go to my clinician, my wonderful, what is it, my orthopedic surgeon, and he really has helped me. But it's been 7 years since I've had an injection in the knees. So I really don't want to have to do an injection. I have to. The key is of what I'm focusing on is I need to get stronger so that I can protect my knees and avoid, like I did share in my most recent knee experience where the knee was stuck in a position. And, I have to build up my quads. I have to build up my glutes. I have to build up my hip abductors. And sit to stands are a little difficult for me with my knees, so I'm doing things very slowly, very intentionally. I'm doing a modified sit to stand. I'm doing a modified step up with a low step. Um, and I'm doing those leg lifts that I did with the little 1 pound weight. And granted, that's why I felt sore is, it wasn't smart to do the weighted vest and then go do these leg lifts. That was stupid. So now pacing is my theme. Pace myself. I'm not someone who finds it easily to be motivated for exercise. And I do like the idea. And that's why this idea of snacking on your exercise, getting up and doing 5 or 10 minutes, that is right in my wheelhouse. So I've really been practicing that. But when I remembered I had the weighted vest, I thought, oh, the weighted vest. Oh, I was way too enthusiastic. I wore it way too long. I wore it for all three of my walks. Stupid, stupid, stupid. And I really suffered the next day. Just achiness. It's sore. You're sore. You're achy because let's face it, I'm not using this vest and I'm not using those muscles that very frequently. So now that I'm putting on a weighted vest, guess what? I'm waking everything up. So give ourselves a recovery day. That's what I did today. I did a recovery day. We did more steps than usual. And so I did a recovery today, and I will probably do only one walk tomorrow with the weighted vest. And I won't do the leg lifts. I'll just do my regular stretches and my regular kind of yoga positions that I do in the morning. You know, I know that I get excited and I have a tendency to add too much too fast. And maybe that's what we all do. But frankly, there's nothing wrong with learning that you've overdone it and stepping back and learning what works. That is really what the truth is. Learn what works for you. I'm learning what works for me slowly by making these silly mistakes. But actually, I like it that I'm making these mistakes so you don't have to. I totally, totally um, don't know what I would have done without this little Arnicare cream. There's another cream too that's called Asper cream. That's another one that I like. Asper cream. There's also some people lose these. They're like these salon paws. They have aspirin in them and menthol and some other thing in them too. They're very useful. Let's say you have a super achy knee, or like I sometimes get a really achy, um, what is it, shoulder joint. Putting those patches on is really nice. Or even better if you have something like a where you can put it in the microwave and heat it up. I forget what's in that. Like, is it sand or is it some kind of beads or something inside a little thing that goes over your shoulder? Some kind of heating pad that you just can put in the microwave. That always feels really, really good on my shoulder when it feels achy. So, this is really what we have to do as we get older. Learn to pace ourselves when we're working with weights. Learn to do things in small bits, such as this weighted vest, especially if you're trying something new, which is the weighted vest. I had put it aside for a little while because I was recovering from my hip replacement. And I'm happy to bring it out again and do more with my weighted vest. And I think, we all are trying to figure out something that works for us all, right? Is how do we help ourselves get stronger, be intentional, avoid injury. That's a big one for me. Avoid injury. So I make my balance exercise a key component of what I do every day. I don't do it with weights, but I do my balance exercises. That is truly those and my calf. I do the calf things, the ankle things, and the leg lifts, and the hip exercise where you go and kind of stretch. Those are really key because if we don't do them daily, it's easy to get stiff. It's so easy to do things that make us feel stiff. And what I'm learning is the more we encourage ourselves when we do feel stiff to do the movement anyway, eventually you start feeling better. You may start out a little bit kind of, rusty feeling and stiff feeling, but if you keep slowly going forward, you start to feel better. And that's the truth about it. Do your cat cow, do your thread the needle, which is do your simple, I do a simple modified, what is it? The downward dog. I do that. And the baby pose, I do those. I just have to do those every single day. And those are the things that really give me a wonderful feeling. And now I'm adding these 5 and 10 minute little sessions of movement, and it's very worthwhile. I can feel the difference, although being sore is not what I wanted to do. Being sore, I wanted to avoid that. But guess what? It's all about learning our bodies as we get older, learning what works as we get older, learning what gives us a sense of better balance and better strength. I have to say, I do notice that now that I do my balance exercises, when I'm walking outside where New York streets are so uneven, I'll my shoe will get caught on the little edge. Instead of feeling like I'm going to fall, I'm able to catch myself, which, that hasn't been something I've been very successful at in the past. And I know that was because my hip was not the best, in the best place. But now I've got my hip stronger. I'm getting my balance better. I've got my weighted vest now, and I'm not going to use it every day and drive myself into pain. I'm going to take my time, be intentional. And I have, look at this, all these little 1 pound weights I can add slowly over time. And believe me, I'm going to add it slowly because that pain around your shoulders and your back, that was no joke. And, the Arnicare, it did work well, but it still was impressive of how really, really sore I felt. And, it just reminded me how deconditioned I feel. And I recognize that deconditioning can happen over 2 days. So when you're not doing anything, not moving at all, or you're being very stationary, that is not in your best interest. Move, 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 even if it's in little short, little bursts. In fact, I'm reading a manuscript right now that really shows that the people who are more intentional about moving have a lower sense of risk for other kinds of problems, infections, colds, um, That's really what we have to help ourselves with. Movement, not only is it powerful for our bodies, our joints, but for our brain. I was thinking about that today. They were interviewing the actor today, I think on, what was it? Good Morning America, who was that famous role in Rocky Horror Picture Show. I can't remember his name right off the bat, but he had a stroke, you know, and the left side of his body is paralyzed. Keeping ourselves physically fit, mindful of our blood pressure, awareness of our cholesterol, um, watching how much salt and fat and sugar. I'm on day, I don't know, I know I'm into the 50s now. I started late June. And now, yeah, I'm well into the 50 days, not quite 60, but almost 50 something. No sugar, no refined sugar. And believe me, not simple. Very, very challenging, but I'm doing it. And I'm really proud of myself that I'm in the 50 plus days. I'd have to look at the calendar to know exact number, but I really am proud of myself that I have this time to really focus on staying away from all refined sugar. It's not simple because face it, everywhere we go, there's a cookie you can buy, there's a donut, there's a treat. There's this French bakery up the street. Oh my God. They had these fig pastries, fresh fig pastries that look just adorable. And I walked away. I said, "No, that's not in my wheelhouse." And I'm always so impressed when I talk to my brother because he does none of it. If it comes in a package or if it's processed at all, like bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, he let go of all of that 2 years ago when he found out his calcium score. And I've been contemplating about getting a calcium score. I see my doctor in 10 days. And I don't know. The calcium score is a good indicator of how much, plaque buildup that you possibly have. And it's very informative. I don't know if I want to know it right now. I'm dealing with a little slightly high elevated cholesterol. And I'm hoping that maybe, cutting out all refined sugars and processed foods has helped. Not sure. And um, I'm reducing how much bread too. I haven't eaten as much bread as I generally do. I'm one of those people, and eggs. I did reduce some of my eggs, but I know eggs are good. But I was eating eggs sometimes like every single day. Eggs and the Ezekiel toast. So that's not the best way to go. So I've changed it up some. I've been drinking my protein drinks. Today I wasn't able to do too much protein, but tomorrow's another day. As long as I'm getting close to 90, which is my goal, but it's hard. It's not simple. I'm good about getting to like 75 or 80, but getting over 80 grams of protein is really not simple, especially when I'm really feeling after being on this GLP-1 drug now, this is 3 years. Oh man, lately I have felt that feeling of fullness, like it's so present. And that had kind of escaped me. So I'm not sure why all of a sudden it seems like it's working better than it was, but it is. And my weight has gone down a little bit. I weighed this morning and it's gone down a little more, half a pound. Frankly, I'm constantly surprised at how mysterious our bodies are and how amazing they are too, as in their functioning and their capabilities. And I think that's what keeps me intrigued. I'm very excited as I'm working on my virtual reality software for chronic pain, and I'm offering a free ebook. Please check out the description below. There's a link where you can go get a free ebook. I'm offering 50 of them for free. It's about all things that are for treating chronic pain that doesn't involve a pill. It involves behavior modalities and novel things such as red light therapy and grounding therapy and emotional freedom, tapping therapy, very intriguing stuff. And I really would love for you to have a copy. And I just am so fascinated by how well our bodies do adapt. When we start doing something, even in the smallest way, it really does show up. So, my friends, please do something small every day. Improve ourselves by 1%. That's very doable, right? So, remember, you have this one precious life. Let's live it to the fullest and avoid our knee pain or joint pain or any kind of pain. I truly want to let us release pain into the atmosphere as much as we can because chronic pain is not something that helps us live a quality life. So please think about subscribing. Please join me here each week. And like I said, get your ebook, your free chronic pain ebook. It's in the description below. Be well, my friends, and subscribe, share, like, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye. Oh, and if you have questions, let me know. Bye. I don't know how to, oh, here, end up here.